What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are adding CG elements into real life footage, and for this tutorial we are adding this wristwatch, Ben10 wristwatch, into our character, and we place this watch on our hand. Alright, let me show you what I did here. When it comes to motion tracking, you see this is our footage I'm using, and I have tracked this wristwatch on his hand with a little tiny of times of plus sign here, you can see with red markers. So I've tracked all this and we need to solve this object. Alright, now let me show you. When you come to the track settings over here, when you click on object, now you can see that this is camera, this is object. We are tracking the wristwatch on his hand and it's supposed to be object tracking, but I did all this tracking in camera. So we need to take all this track and put it to the object. Now before we do that, we need to click here, click on the plus sign. Now we add an object. Now you can see that there's no markers, tracking markers here, and when you click on the camera you see the tracking markers. So we need to copy all the markers into the object. Alright, press A to select all the tracks and press spacebar, then type copy. Now you can see copy tracks pop up. Now click on it. Now we automatically copy all the tracks. When you come to object, now press spacebar, then type paste. Now you can see that there is paste track. Click on the paste track. Now we add all our tracks from camera into object. When you click here, you see the track in camera, and when you click here you see it in object. Now you can go ahead and delete all the track in camera by pressing X, then click on it. Now we delete all the tracks in camera. When you come to object, then we still have all these tracks. I showed you guys how to copy and paste tracks because I know that some of you guys do this mistake, and I also did this mistake in the past when doing object tracking, and go ahead to track it in camera, then come to object and retract it again. So instead of doing retracting, wasting your time, just have to copy and paste the track. Alright guys, now that we have our tracks in object, now we can go ahead and solve this object. Okay, before we do this, we need to input our camera information, the focal length, the sensor size of this camera, into the settings here. Come to track settings here, scroll down, click on camera. Now you can see sensor width, so click here and I'll input my sensor, which is 23.5. now we come down to lens. Alright, now I input my lens, which is 35 millimeter. Alright, okay, now we can solve this object. Click here, click on solve here, click on keyframes. For any reason, don't choose tripod because you won't get the proper rotation and location of this object. So don't choose tripod, just click on keyframe, then click on solve object motion. Just click on it. Alright guys, now that we have successfully solved this object and got the lowest error as possible, now we need to come to 3D and set up our scene. And before we do that, we need to come down here and click on set as background. You can see in the 3D camera. Okay, now we need to come to layout, to the 3D view. Now this is our camera and this is our object. Now we need to orient our camera properly, and to do this, just come to the view where you can see that this camera is facing front. Okay, just press Alt Control and press 0 to snap the camera into position. If you press 0 now, you can see that the camera snapped to where I want. Now you can click on the X axis of camera and then drag it to come forward like this. Alright, now this is our object over here. Now if you come here to the constraints, I've already shown you how to do this in my previous tutorial. You can check that out and do it yourself. So I will just go ahead and do this roughly. Okay, when you press back, zero back, now you can see this, and when you play it, you will see that this is going in the wrong direction, and it's doing that because we need to set this inverse. When you click on here and drag it back to position, alright, like so. When you press zero back and play this, you see that this is working perfect now. Now the next thing to do is to adjust the size properly. Now I'm done placing this 3D object on my hand properly. You just have to take your time and place this on your hand just to fit the hand properly. Now you can see that this fits the hand properly, and it's like it remains small. Let me just shift this small a little bit and rotate it on the X like so. Alright, now you can see that this is properly fits my hand like that. Now you can see that this fits. Just have to take your time and do this. Alright, now we need to set the light. When you click on render here, you can see that this light is not very attractive and it's not even better. We're just using the default light we have, which is the point here, point lab. When you click on zero back and come to solid, now we have to set up the light. And before we set up the light, we need to set up our scene exactly how it looks in the movie clip. We have to create a reference of our background here. Now to do this, we have to create a plane. Just press shift A, come to plane here. Alright guys, so what I did here is just to create a reference environment for a movie clip, just for light interaction and reflection. Alright, just to make this more realistic as possible. Alright, now when you click on render, alright, now you see that this light is not really working well as we want, and we're in EV right now, so we need to go to cycles render. Alright, now this is cycles, and what we need to do now is to delete this point lamp and replace it with area lamp. Click on it and press X to delete that. Now press shift A, come to light, now select area. Now you can adjust this and rotate it so that it can face our object. Alright, okay, now that we are finished with that, we need to increase the power of the area lamp, so increase it to 100. Alright, now you can see that this scene is light up, so we need to increase it more, maybe something like 150. Alright, so 150 is okay, and let us tweak the color a little bit to something like yellow. Alright, so that it can match the light environment of our footage. Alright, okay, now when you go to shading in the top corner here, click on new. Now we need to bring down the roughness a little bit like so. Okay, now come back to layout. Okay, now we need to add this into a new collection, so click on it and press M. Now come to new collection right here. I can just type anything you want there. just like plain, and press OK. Now this has been added to a new collection separately. Now when you click on the collection, left click on it. Now come down to view layout. No, now set it to set indicator only. So this will only set as indicator only, it won't render as an object. All right. Okay, now we don't want to render this world environment, so we need to change it to transparent. Now click here, right here down, come down to film, click on it. Now click on transparency, click on the transparent. Now when you hit rendered, you can see that this changed to a transparent background, and when we render this, it will only render our object, it won't render the world, and that is what exactly what we want here. Okay. Alright guys, before we go ahead and render this and go to compositing, there are some few things we must notice first. Now when you hit 0 to come to camera view, now let's hide this background. Click on it, then press H to hide that. Now when you zoom in, you can see that this watch is not exactly on our character hand. It's like it's at the front of our character hand, and we need to make it looks like it's on our character hand. And to do this, we need a object that can be inside this wristwatch right here. Let me show what I mean. Click here, just press Shift S, then click on cursor to selected. Now press Shift A, go to mesh, click on a cylinder. Now this is way too big. Now press S and scale it down. Now we need to make this cylinder to be inside this wristwatch. Alright, let me quickly do that right now. Just replace this cylinder into this wristwatch right here. Now when it is 0, now you can see that this cylinder is like, I want this cylinder to represent my hand. There's just some area of part of this arm here, so this cylinder must cover some few space right here. Alright, so that it can look like this, and this wristwatch is on my hand. Alright, and what we need to do now is to make this a parent, make this watch a parent of this cylinder right here. And to do this, just click on the cylinder, then press Shift, then click on the wristwatch and press Ctrl P. Now just click on object. Now you can see that this cylinder here follows this object. Alright, and I'm not using this cylinder, but I've created a cylinder that I will use for this. Now I hit X. I just showed you how you can do that. So when I turn on this cylinder, this is exactly what I mean. You can create so that you can cover some few parts of this wristwatch, and it should look like you just did this, and it will look like this wristwatch is like in your hand. So to do this, when you hit rendered, you can see that this wristwatch, this cylinder here we created, is reflecting, and we don't need to see this red cylinder here. Okay, and what we need to do now is to come to shading here. When you come to shading, you can see that this cylinder has a principal BSDF shader, and we don't need that. You just click on the shader and press X to get rid of that. Now press Shift A, come to shading, just select Hold Out. This is a node that we want to use. Just click on the surface. Now you can see that this is a Hold Out, and this is not showing some few parts. Now this is exactly what I mean, and you can see that this looks like this wristwatch is on my hand exactly. Alright, now that we've properly set up our scene and our 3D object, now we can render this for samples. Now come to sampling here. Now just put this to 50 samples. Now when you use render here, render image. Alright, this is done. Now let's come to compositing. Just click on compositing right here. Click on use nodes. Now we are using this render layer. In my previous tutorial I'm not using render, but this time we are rendering 3D, so we need this render layer. Press Shift A, come to color, select alpha over, put it here. Now we need a viewer node. Press Shift A again, come to output, select viewer, drop this here. Now connect this to here. Alright, now we need our movie clip. Press Shift A, come to input, select a movie clip. Now just drag the image input of the movie clip into this image input here. This will be at the bottom and the movie clip will be at the top. Alright, now you can see that the wristwatch is appearing on my hand. Alright, so this is just for preview, just to see the effects right here. Now we need to improve this light a little bit. Alright, let's come to 3D. We need to duplicate this light. Press Shift D, then drag the second light up, then rotate it to face down like so. This needs to come up very well like this. Let us bring back our background so that we can set this properly. This is our plain background. Alright, now let's decrease the strength of this. Come to lamp here, decrease it to 50. When you hit render, click on render here. Now you can see that this light improved a little bit. Now you can render. Alright, now we are done with 3D, so let's focus on compositing. Right there, it's okay. Let's just come. Right there. Okay, let me hit render this time. Let's come to compositing right here. Okay, now we need to add some few things here. First we need to do the color correcting, and then we come to the color grading, and also we need to make this wristwatch right here to be better, and the sci-fi emission we need to make it to be better. Okay, let's just do that now. We need to press Shift A, then add a glare node. Come to filter, glare, double that in here. Alright, now change it from straight to fog glow. Alright, when you press Shift A, then add a color gamma here, just to bring down the saturation a little bit. Alright, now when you increase this glare node, now you can see that the color pops up right. Alright, now you can do the colors. Shift A, come to color balance, drop that in, plug this here. Now we need to change the color of the medium, which is the gamma color, to something like blue. And also click on Shift A, come to each saturation value, just put that here, put this output here again, then reduce the huge a little bit. Alright, now you can increase the saturation a little bit. Okay, now this is done. Now I can just increase the render to something like 200, Now I can render the animation. And mind you, when you are rendering this animation, you should render it as image sequence. Now then you can convert it back to movie clip. And that's all guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.